Supporters, well, as you can imagine, the fallout has begun. The Indiana Fever are literally taking what looks like the most valuable women's athlete asset that has come around in I don't know how many years. Certainly for women's basketball, they are taking this asset, an asset that I contend is worth more than every player in the WNBA combined.
The WNBA just pulled off the greatest vanishing act since Houdini himself, because the literal second Caitlin Clark hit the bench, the league's entire momentum went poof. Interest, gone. Ticket sales buzz, dead. Ratings, flatlined harder than my last relationship. It's like someone just pulled the plug on the whole operation when Clark wasn't tearing up the court. So welcome to the uncomfortable truth of what happens when your entire marketing strategy is a single human being. We're about to dissect the chaos, the collapse, and the undeniable reality. When Caitlin Clark limps, the WNBA doesn't just stumble, it swan dives. Grab your popcorn and maybe an injury report, because this unraveling is uglier than a breakup via group chat.
Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury. Now, if you guys have been watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does, and even in her pre-game routine, she was doing some things differently.
Just like that, the WNBA flipped from must-watch to barely a whisper. One minor injury to Caitlin Clark, and suddenly the league started echoing like a sound check in an empty stadium. The moment word got out she might miss time, you could practically hear merch booths packing up and PR teams frantically scrambling for a plan B. Newsflash folks, there isn't one, not even remotely, because without Clark lighting up the court, that spotlight doesn't just dim, it goes out completely, and frankly, nobody else is bright enough to turn it back on.
Yeah, the WNBA don't think like we think. The WNBA ain't forced to run a business because it's subsidized. The WNBA don't have to do what most regular people have to do in order to be successful. The WNBA is trying to piss us off on purpose. Guys, the WNBA wants to go back to obscurity. The WNBA is trying their best to make sure nothing changes what this league represents.
Caitlin Clark didn't just attract fans, she practically conjured a movement. This hardwood enchantress had people rubbing pennies for good luck and ticket lines wrapping around city blocks. When she's playing, turnstiles spin like slot machines, not just for a few minutes, but right up until the final buzzer, and traffic jams become a pre-game ritual. But the moment she's out, crickets, the buzz vanishes, the stands look like a ghost town, and ushers swap crowd control for crossword puzzles.
Start with the most important question of the day. Glad y'all are here for this one. Are you worried about Caitlin Clark long term?
No, I am not. Every great athlete goes through this, particularly great athletes who are breaking barriers. And I think that Caitlin Clark is doing exactly that. And so I watched Steph Curry go through this. Okay, so it was ankle issues at the beginning of his career, raised some questions. He had to find a solution and fight his way through it. He wasn't getting beat up, but he was having physical issues.
And the fans? Oh, they noticed. Loudly. This drop-off was so obvious, it practically begged for a reality show sponsorship. Social media transformed into a forensic lab for viewership stats, with armchair detectives dissecting every empty seat like it was crime scene evidence. When Caitlin's on the court, the vibe screams music festival. When she's not, it's giving community bingo night. Plenty of chairs, not much noise, and a whole lot of regret from folks who could have just stayed home and streamed a cooking show instead.
Caitlin Clark is banged up. She will not play again tonight. So the physicality, she's getting roughed up. The league has an off season. How do we defend her? Well, it's pretty obvious how people want to defend her. They're trapping, double teaming, getting very physical. And now she's banged up. So her first 6 games, she was Caitlin Clark. In her last 3 games, she's averaging 12 a game and shooting 27%. She is not healthy.
If you're ready for Caitlin Clark to come back, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop CC come back in the comments below. And speaking of fans, let's talk about those ride or die types. Because the instant Clark took a break, the ride stalled, and a whole lot of them decided to die or just dip out. Overnight, jerseys stopped flying off shelves, streaming numbers plummeted like someone yanked the Wi-Fi cord, and social media sections morphed from heated debates into digital ghost towns. You'd think people would rally behind the league in her absence, but nope. It's like someone unplugged the entertainment value, leaving the WNBA asking people to care without the one person who made them care in the first place. Even more savage, the real-time reactions. One fan, probably still rocking their Caitlin hoodie, filmed the arena mid-game when she wasn't playing, and the background noise sounded like a library during finals week. The camera panned across entire sections emptier than the league's marketing strategy without her. People weren't just disappointed, they were insulted. It was like showing up for Beyonce and getting the warm-up DJ instead. The WNBA had one job: protect the asset. Instead, they ran her into the ground like she was on a sprint and destroy mission. Constant back-to-backs, excessive minutes, a target on her back every single game. And then they acted shocked when she got dinged up. That's like throwing your only iPhone into a volcano and being surprised when you can't FaceTime anymore.
Tough blow not only to Caitlin, because we know that she loves to be on the court. It's a tough blow for the Indiana Fever because that is their superstar. Whether she is playing to the best of her abilities or not, they are still a better team with her on the court. And it's also a huge blow to the WNBA. Whether some fans like it or not, it was proven the last time that she was out with injury that the WNBA does better when she is on the court. The WNBA ratings across the league dropped by over 50% when Caitlin Clark was out with injury, and this is obviously such a crucial time and a crucial year for the league because they go into CBA negotiations at the end of the year.
And the irony of it all, while she's sidelined, some voices are still trying to pretend this isn't a 5-alarm fire. They're spouting nonsense about team balance and player development, as if balance fills seats, or development is a more exciting product than the only player whose name even casual fans actually know. Meanwhile, everyone else is busy scrolling through their schedule apps, canceling plans to watch. It's not even subtle, the numbers are screaming. Caitlin Clark was basically doing a solo stadium tour, considering how ticket sales just evaporated without her. 1 minute, it's sold out, packed wall to wall with Clark fans waving signs and screaming their lungs out. The next minute, with her sidelined, you can hear individual coughs echoing through the rafters. Then there's the merchandise game, which has been hilariously stark. With Clark, vendors are moving product like it's Black Friday. Without her, those booths might as well convert into lemonade stands. The Caitlin Clark economy is not just real. The moment she sat down, a whole ecosystem caught a cold. But what truly hits hardest is how glaringly visible her absence is. Because Caitlin doesn't just play basketball, she stirs chaos. She drains threes that ignite online debates. She drives the lane like she's got a vendetta against physics. She turns average games into headline material. Without her, the league just becomes background noise in a sports landscape already saturated with flashier, faster, and, let's be honest, more competitive options.
And I can't believe I'm coming to this conclusion. Guys, it is clear the WNBA operation itself doesn't know what it's doing. And now it's clear that the Indiana Fever does not know what it's doing. But here's the sad part, guys. This ain't on accident. This is on purpose.
And yet, some truly delusional defenders are still trying to pretend this is just a minor blip, insisting fans should be excited anyway. About what, exactly? Watching teams fumble fundamentals in front of a politely bored audience, trying to rally around players whose biggest accomplishment is retweeting memes about Caitlin Clark. This isn't just a downgrade, it's like switching from gourmet fine dining to stale vending machine snacks and being told it's the same experience. What's even more absurd is the league's transparent attempt to spin this fallout. Suddenly, everyone's pushing narratives about the bigger picture and team identity. Sure, and the Titanic was just a cruise with a surprise ending. People didn't tune in for identity building. They tuned in because Caitlin Clark was single-handedly redefining what watchable women's basketball looked like. They wanted fireworks, not flickering candles. And when the fireworks are gone, nobody's pretending the candles are good enough. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's absence has accidentally revealed just how lopsided the league's appeal really is. It's not parity, it's pure dependency. She was the rising tide, and without her, it turns out a lot of those ships weren't actually floating. They were just lucky to be in the splash zone.
Great athlete you can think of coming in, if there were great expectations, there were hurdles that they had to overcome. And so I agree. I think she's had a lot on her plate. This is not Iowa. This is not Kansas anymore, Toto. This is the WNBA. This is the world. And she's got a lot on her shoulders. But I've seen every player, great player, who's had to adjust to that and accommodate it. And I have no doubt that she will do that, whether it's physical or mental.
And now, with her sidelined, the water's gone and everything looks smaller, quieter, less urgent, like a concert after the headliner leaves and the backup guitarist's cousin takes over. And then there's the funniest part of all, the way other players are handling it. Instead of rallying, some seem oddly relieved, like the spotlight might finally shift. Bad news, folks, it didn't. The spotlight just turned off. Nobody's rushing to buy courtside seats for a gritty team effort or a scrappy defensive battle. Fans want the unicorn, and when she's not there, it turns out the magic show is just a bunch of assistants pulling scarves out of sleeves. Even worse, the broadcasters are visibly struggling to pretend it's business as usual. With Caitlin on the court, commentary is electric. Every movement is a story. Without her, it's 2 hours of trying to sound impressed by layups. The energy drops so hard, even the microphone seems sad. And let's not forget the conspiracy theorists. Oh, they are having an absolute field day. Some swear the league secretly wanted her out for a while, that her shadow was too long, her popularity too inconvenient. But here's the twist. Even if that were true, this break only proved how desperately they need her. You can't build a house, remove the foundation, and expect it to stand.
And then when did you guys find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Back-to-back a factor at all with that?
I mean, I don't know if it's a factor from a physical standpoint, from an athletic training standpoint. Certainly in my mind, it is. But at the same time, she's shown that she's tough and she's a quick healer. So we'll see.
Was it something
So now everyone's waiting for a comeback, waiting for the next highlight, waiting for Caitlin Clark to stop icing her injury and start icing defenders again. Because love her or hate her, she's the draw. She's the main event. She's the one gluing eyeballs to screens and cheeks to arena seats. Without her, the WNBA isn't even trying to fake relevance. It's just hoping people don't change the channel before halftime. Because the reality is harsh, loud, and unavoidable. Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the WNBA right now. She is the WNBA, and when she sits, everything else crumbles. No bubble wrap, no special protection, not even a metaphorical helmet, just endless minutes, bone-crunching fouls, and officials staring into space like someone unplugged their internal radar. She gets shoved, slammed, dragged across the court like it's an MMA undercard, and the refs, they barely blink, they sip their coffee, they might even whistle, but not for the foul, it's for halftime.
I'm keeping it real. All right. That's the draw. That's the aura. That's the brand. She is the WNBA. I've said, I contend she ought to be, her 3-point shot should have already been changed. That should be the logo of the WNBA. Of course, the old school WNBA fans, all about this many of them that existed. That makes them furious. I don't care. Y'all can keep trying to gatekeep this league all you want. I don't care. They're trying to take this asset. Stephanie White seems to be completely in over her head. Once again, Jason Whitlock said it the other day, and I pointed right at my television screen, which is over to the right of me, when I was watching Whitlock, and he said, they need to hire an NBA coach like Mark Jackson.
Apparently, if you're a rookie dragging an entire billion-dollar PR campaign behind you, you also have to eat elbows like it's part of the training manual. And the worst part? It's not subtle anymore. It's not occasional or even situational. It's systematic, almost as if there's an unspoken group memo floating around locker rooms that reads, if it's Caitlyn, it's fair game. Other players are fouling her like they've got coupons for an extra hit. They're sending her to the floor like it's a contest, like there's a prize for the most takedowns in a single game. And the WNBA, they shrug, one ankle tweak and fans start writing eulogies. Yet somehow, despite that glaring reality, the league still refuses to do the most basic thing you do with your star: protect her. It's basic sports math. If your most valuable player gets battered into the hardwood every game and you do absolutely nothing, eventually you won't have a most valuable player.
She's a lot like Michael Jordan as the physicality of the league. And basketball has always been this way. If you can't figure out how to stop somebody, Steph Curry faced some of this. In basketball, the answer is always get physical with them. Make them uncomfortable. Rick Pitino was on yesterday and talked about Caitlin Clark.
She's a great passer. She reminds me of Steph Curry when Steph Curry came into the league. She's doing what Steph did early on. She has unbelievable range. She has great vision. She's a terrific passer. You know, she's physically a little weak, but she'll get stronger as time goes on. But she really understands how to play, and she reminds me of the female version of Steph Curry. Incredible range.
And once she's out, good luck explaining to fans why they just paid to watch a scrappy defensive matchup between two teams averaging 42 points a game. Spoiler alert, nobody wants that. They want the fire, the flare, the flash. They want the Caitlin Clark experience. And every hit she takes, uncalled, is a direct hit to the league's wallet and its credibility. But no, instead of tailoring the rules to protect the league's hottest asset, the WNBA is acting like she's just another name on the roster. Like she should be lucky to even be here. As if she didn't just single-handedly resurrect interest in a product that was drifting dangerously close to the forgotten sports aisle next to lacrosse and darts. And it's not just bad strategy, it's outright sabotage. Every time she steps on the court, the WNBA trends. Every time she scores, Twitter erupts. When she speaks, ESPN listens. And yet, the officials are swallowing their whistles like it's a competition. Because this isn't about favoritism, it's about reality. Every major league protects its stars. The NFL has quarterback rules so tight you'd think they were guarding national secrets. The NBA gives its marquee players enough foul calls to fill a rule book.
Indiana Fever is not slick at all. They have Caitlin Clark out with a growing injury, and they have her scheduled day by day, right? So either two things is happening. Either she really don't have a growing injury and they're trying to let her rest so she can play in the game against Paige Buckners when they play the Wings tomorrow. And given that Caitlin Clark haven't had like her best game the last few games, they probably just like, okay, take the day off, girl, and come back ready to hoop.
But the WNBA, apparently letting Caitlyn get hip-checked into next week builds character. No, it builds resentment, it builds injuries, and it builds a fast track to fans checking out entirely. Fans see it. They're not dumb. They know when someone's being targeted. And let's not pretend this isn't fixable. One strong memo, one game where refs actually enforce rules, one suspension for an egregious foul. That's all it would take to reset the tone, to say loud and clear, our biggest star matters. But no, instead, it's open season, and Caitlin Clark is the only one without body armor. She's expected to carry the league, absorb the hits, smile through the pain, and still drop 25 a night, all while being fouled like she owes someone money. It's not sustainable. Not physically, not emotionally, not commercially, because here's the part the league keeps missing. Every bump she takes is one more reason for her to reconsider the grind. She doesn't have to be here. She could go overseas, play fewer games for more money. She could walk away tomorrow and still have brand deals, millions of fans, and a life without constantly checking if her ankles still work. And if that day comes, the WNBA will have no one to blame but itself. They had one job, protect the investment. Instead, they treated her like an expendable storyline, like she's just lucky to get a jersey.
It is no secret that Caitlin Clark has been struggling in her shooting since coming back from injury. She had that big game right after the initial leg injury where they played the Liberty, they beat the Liberty. She had 30-something, Sabrina had 30-something. It was a fantastic game. But since then, she has been really struggling from the field. There's been reports of her like maybe having her migraine issues again. There's been reports of her like in interviews, she's been coughing a lot and kind of sniffling, like was she sick? And now she is out for tonight's game because of a groin injury. And even in her post-game interview the other night, she said, it felt good coming out of my hands and then it just wasn't going in. Like they feel good. They feel like typical Caitlin Clark shots.
And now they're watching the consequences unfold in real time. Lower attendance, empty seats, and a rising number of fans openly saying they won't watch unless Caitlin is playing. Not because they hate the sport, but because they hate what's being done to the only reason they started watching in the first place. If the WNBA doesn't wake up soon, they're gonna find themselves right back where they were, fighting for scraps of attention in a sea of bigger, louder, faster sports. Caitlin Clark gave them a miracle, a second chance at relevance, and what did they do? They let her get hammered by players who treat defense like demolition, all while pretending this is fine. It's not. It's a slow, painful collapse dressed up as competitive balance. And if they keep choosing chaos over care, the fans won't stick around for the ending. They'll walk, just like Caitlin might, leaving the WNBA holding a trophy made of broken narratives and missed opportunity.